Hello and welcome to level 6 of the Thoughts and Players podcast, the brand new gaming podcast with bold takes and no strings attached. I am Jeremy, here once again with my compadres. I have David.
What up?
And I have Corey.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite podcast in the Citadel.
Okay.
I feel like he changed the word for podcast.
No, I am actually do that himself. He recorded it for me. Cost me quite a bit of money, but it's credits. Right. That's not a real thing, so it was quite easy. So cool.
Acceptable.
Great.
But you guys know that one, right?
Yeah, I know that one.
Okay. All right.
I know that one. Hopefully everyone else does too.
I think I do.
Yeah.
I'm like 95% sure.
I'm
good.
David.
I'm good. I don't want to hear
it. Oh, man.
Well, we hope everyone is having a wonderful summer, at least best they can. We appreciate everyone's support and listening and liking and sharing the podcast. We appreciate that. I'm going to keep saying it because we actually do. We really do. So thanks.
It's great.
Yeah. And we're going to ask you to keep it up. Helps us grow the channel, helps us grow the podcast, and helps make sure that everyone gets involved and we're sharing different ideas. Because again, the conversation is not just us. We want everyone, you all, to be involved. So with that said, I believe it's time for us to get into the news with the morning announcements. So, news item number 1. Dr. Disrespect has been seemingly, though still unconfirmed, to be permabanned from Twitch. Now, if you guys don't know who Dr. Disrespect is, he is, I would say, outside of what Ninja was, probably one of Twitch's biggest streamers. He had signed, I came to find out he had signed an exclusive agreement with Twitch when Ninja and Shroud left for Mixer. And people believe that may be having something to do with his ban. But Dr. Disrespect is Guy Beam, I believe is his real name. He plays this character, the streamer. He mostly streams a lot of battle royales, but different FPS games. Quite a character, but he got banned. And the Twitch streaming community has been trying to figure out for 2 weeks what the heck happened. So
he's like the bad boy of Twitch, right?
He is. Well,
yeah.
That's what he calls himself. Yes.
The bad
Didn't
boy
he win
of
the
Twitch.
award? He won the award, Twitcher of the Year or whatever, last year, right?
He's won like 2, I think, Streamer of the Year awards, 1 Game Personality of the Year award or something like that. Yeah, he's pretty big up there. He is one of the most well-known streamers in gaming for sure. And now he's not on there no more.
So what is he doing now? Is he just not streaming? Did he move over to Facebook or YouTube? Or are we just nothing so far?
I can tell he's MIA.
Yeah, I think he signed like an exclusive streaming agreement with Twitch when Mixer was buying everyone away. So if that's the case, then they have him locked up. He can't go to Facebook or any place else. He's just got to sit there and
until his contract's done, or they
contract up, or that. Yeah.
Okay. Are you guys going to miss him?
No, personally, I didn't like the guy. Like, I get it was, a character and everything, but just the way he acted is just amplifying for other people to act that way. And people already act that way. If you were in the Modern Warfare 2 lobbies, it was terrible. It was terrible. I put in 100 days into that game, and I've never heard anything worse come out of players' mouths. So just to have somebody
they were
that
all
big,
Dr. Disrespects.
Yeah. So to have somebody that big act that way, I don't agree with it.
I'm personally not going to miss him. I've never watched him. I don't really watch too many Twitch streamers, except for my boy right here, Blind Reaper. But no, I am not going to miss him. Jeremy?
I tell you what, I love me some Dr. Disrespect.
Oh, okay.
Even though I have I have not watched his stream in a while. Everything that David said about him being like the pinnacle of bad, toxic gamer, that's like his thing. He's like the Ric Flair of that.
Right.
So to me, he's doing satire and parody. He's almost making fun of it. Sometimes it seems like the personality bleeds into his actual personality, like real life personality. So that's a little, there can be some conflict there. But I mean, I love the character. I think the character is so ridiculous that it's like I can't take anything he does seriously, which is like one of the reasons I liked it.
I think one of the big issues though is, yes, it's satire for him, but a lot of the people watching maybe don't know it's satire. You got a lot of younger people watching his stream and they think that kind of behavior is okay, which is not the reason he got banned, I don't think, but it's just kind of like, it's satire. These other people are like, oh, this gives us free reign to act that way on the online games that we play.
That's the possibility. I think that gets to a more societal issue of maybe instead of putting constraints on someone of doing something that's performative, which is what I see him doing, we should maybe educate people on what satire is.
Right.
I think there's a general loss of the idea of humor nowadays. A lot of people don't understand satire or parody or a bunch of those different things like that, and they think that when someone's doing something like that, they're actually doing it. But I can definitely see how that is. A lot of people that I know that watched him, they watched him because he's a wrestling character essentially. He's like a wrestling character in gaming. So
he's playing the heel.
Yeah.
I hope that's the case then. Like if that's how a lot of his viewers are seeing it, then I can totally understand it.
Now, why do we think he got banned though? Because his character didn't get him banned because he's been doing it for years. Do you think it's? I know last year he walked into a bathroom and started recording, but that got him a ban, but not a permanent one.
Right.
That was probably something behind the scenes.
Yeah, that was a very stupid thing to do. It was also kind of funny.
Right.
But it was mostly a complete violation of privacy.
Yeah, exactly. And then he was also doing like the coronavirus misinformation. I believe there was something like that.
Yes.
Okay.
Even though I really struggle on what to label misinformation nowadays with this thing.
Right, because really no one really has any clue. It's switching every single day. But
yeah, he got in a little bit of heat for that, and then he had an issue. I think it was last year or whatever, where he admitted to having an affair, and that kind of he took a hiatus on that, and that kind of messed up stuff. So,
all right, let me throw one more thing your way. Do you think it could be a ploy by him and Twitch? Ban him for a month. Hey, he wants a vacation anyways. You come back, and now his stream numbers are through the roof because everyone wants to see him when he comes back. Is that a possibility, or am I a crazy man?
It's always a small possibility. I don't know if a company that big is going to do something like that, but it could be that they are that big that they would do something like that. So it's there, but I don't see it being like 100% the reason.
I would lean more towards no for two reasons. One being that I don't think corporations and companies, including Twitch, would be that imaginative. I don't think they would think up something like that. And
fair enough.
I know he did that before when he came back from when he took the hiatus with the whole affair thing.
Okay.
So he did that too. But also Twitch just got Ninja back, right?
No, he's been YouTube gaming.
Oh, he's YouTube gaming.
Really? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Did they get Shroud back?
I don't know.
Okay.
I just know the bare minimum about streamers. I know Dr. Disrespect. I know Ninja. That's it.
Okay.
It was really, I'm not in that world. So
Well, I would think with the death of Mixer, they're probably getting a little bit more market share back. So
right.
Oh, definitely.
I don't know. But, I mean, obviously, what jumps to mind is there was like a slew of misconduct stuff that happened at Twitch and with streamers. And that's always a possibility. I feel like if that was the case, we would have knew something by now. But
Right.
yeah, I don't know.
All
It's
right.
weird. It's weird.
Disrespectful.
Yes. All right. So, news item number 2: Xbox Series X has a first party game showcase that's going to happen on July 23rd. Guys, are you interested in seeing anything at this showcase?
Not really. Nothing. I think is gonna grab my attention.
Okay.
Usually with these kind of showcases, I'm pretty excited about them, but the fact that it's going to be mostly just first party games, it's not that interesting to me. You know, if Capcom was showing stuff, Square Enix, some of these other big third party companies, yes, but Xbox itself doesn't have too many franchises that I'm looking forward to. I know they're going to show a lot of Halo Infinite, which is fine. Probably a new Forza, and the only one I'm really looking forward to is hopefully they announce Fable 4.
Okay. I find it a very interesting tale of, I guess, what would you say? Like kind of like falling from grace because you just kind of almost casually mentioned Halo. And at one point, Halo was the pinnacle of FPS shooter in video games.
Yeah, for sure. I was probably one of the biggest Halo fanboys with Halo, Combat Evolved, Halo 2, Halo 3. After Bungie left, it was kind of like, am I invested in this franchise as much? Not really. You know, the single player it had the best mix of single player and multiplayer, in my opinion. And now I really don't care about the single player story anymore. And even the multiplayer, it's fun still, but it just doesn't grab me like that. And yeah, Halo to me has lost a lot. I don't know what it would take for me to get back to Halo, but they would have to show something that I just don't think would catch my eye. I don't know.
Could one of the things they could do is to make a Halo game where you get to actually play the game as Master Chief the whole time again? Because I think the last 3 or 4 games they've had it where you've either played them for a portion of the game or half of the game, or if you're referencing Halo ODST, not at all. So I think maybe having more Master Chief would help with that.
I think so. He's a fun character. You know, I know he's probably not the deepest, but the relationship between him and Cortana always got to me a little bit. They were fun. Like it was a fun character development between the two. So I really don't even know where the story's at though right now. I didn't play Halo 5 at all. Halo 4 I just played a little bit and found myself not interested. So Halo Infinite, we'll see if it's kind of more of like a reboot. You know, I know they're continuing the story, but maybe do like a God of War where, hey, it's the same character, but now there's this whole new beginning for him. I think maybe that would get me.
Okay. Get news item number 3. Microsoft Xbox seems to be interested in acquiring WB Interactive. Now, if you guys don't know what kind of games WB Interactive makes, they make the Lord of the Rings games. So most recent would be something like, Shadow of War, stuff like that. What other games do they make? They have Batman. So the Batman
they
series.
They own the Harry Potter franchise.
Okay. Yeah.
And Mortal Kombat.
Okay.
Among others, I'm sure. Those are the big names. Let me say this. If Microsoft were to say July 22nd, hey, we bought WB, July 23rd, I would be all in on that the game that they bring. I'm a fan. Lord of the Rings, I'm a big fan of the movies. You know, some of the games have been hit or miss. Mortal Kombat, I like playing that franchise for the story, which, maybe you can laugh at me, but it's fun, man. WB's a really good company with a lot of big franchises. So that would interest me. And I think it would kind of turn the tide a little bit for Xbox Next Gen if they own all those franchises. So it's very, very interesting what's going to happen. Now, WB's shopping around everyone. There was Take-Two, I think, was interested, among others. So might be a little bit of a bidding war for it.
Yeah. I mean, is it to a point where WB isn't profitable? Is there any guess as to why they'd be shopping around like that?
Right. I hope they stay third party to keep it all on everything, because it's been, at least Mortal Kombat, it's been such a great game for so long. And I think if they're taking over and they have to listen to the new, controller, I think it might implode.
I don't know why they're selling. It could be like another situation with Disney Interactive. They sold off all their stuff a few years ago.
Yeah.
And they kind of just like EA bought the rights to Star Wars, and each company just kind of bought the rights to whatever franchise they wanted to use. So I don't know, man. Big companies like that, even if they're making money, it might be a situation where they're not making enough. Hey, this is turning a profit, but it's not growing by 15% every year. We got to get rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully they would get bought up by maybe a third party, something like a Take-Two. I don't know. I know that Microsoft Xbox has been doing a great job of totally crushing first-party developers to a point where they've had to go out and buy ones that seem to have their crap together because they don't know how to do anything with their own first-party games. Crackdown being a great example of that.
Yeah, that's true. It seems like they're getting a little better, right? With Phil Spencer kind of like managing Xbox. It seems like the third parties they are buying are kind of being more well supported and kind of like, hey, you can do your own thing. Or it's just too early to know if that's the truth or not.
I think so. Put it this way. Probably the worst first party PlayStation game that was made was Days Gone. Mm-hmm. And that completely beats to death anything Microsoft put out first party. The only thing that could probably stand up to it is going to be the Gears games, which they've been intact well enough. But
and that's the thing, man. I don't think Xbox innovates enough. I was also a huge Gears fan, 1 through 3. And then they made Judgment. They made 4 or 5. You just kind of lose interest when they put 6 or 7 games out of the same franchise within 10 years?
Yeah.
Like Nintendo does it where you get a Zelda once a generation, maybe twice. So it's like every 8 years you're getting a new Zelda. And by the time that comes, you really want it. Gears of War, it's like, it's too much in too little of time.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. News item number 4. Rockstar is working on a AAA open world VR game. So VR is getting some love, it appears.
Have you guys played VR at all?
I played, what is that? The rhythm game.
Beat Saber.
Yeah, I've only played that.
Okay.
And I loved it. So I'm not into open world games, but I feel like VR needs something like this. There's not a lot, at least in my mind. Probably don't know every game that's out for VR, but I think more is better right now.
Okay. Jeremy, how about you? VR fan at all? Never?
No VR games for me.
Really? Ever?
Nope.
Oh, man. I love VR, man. It's so much fun. It's like, in my mind, it's the future of gaming. It's like as big a leap as 2D gaming to 3D gaming. Like 3D gaming to VR is like where it's at. So I want to see as many big companies as possible making these kind of AAA games, And there's not a lot, like David said. Half-Life Alyx came out this year, got a lot of really, really positive reviews. And there's some here and there, but I'm waiting for it to kind of like really take off because that's the future, man. You just got to embrace it.
Yeah.
Get that headset on.
We will see.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't mind it. I just I haven't purchased it or anything like that. So I'm for it.
It's got a little bit of an uphill battle with the price, because not only do you have to have a really strong PC, you also got to buy this headset, which could range anywhere from $500 to $1,000. You got to put cameras up in your room. If you bought like the Vive, you got to have like a 20 square foot room where you can move into. So it's not super user friendly yet, but it'll get there, I hope.
Oh, for sure.
All right. And to close out the morning announcements, item number 5, EVO 2020 has been canceled. So there will be no fighting tournament happening in Vegas this year.
Yeah, the founder of EVO or something like that had a lot of allegations against them. Sexual assault, sexual harassment, stuff like that. It's a pretty crummy situation which is a lot to take in on morning announcements. So I'll just say good riddance to Evo. I won't miss you this year. Let's just say that.
I agree. I think we've had more than enough of that mojo going around. So we don't need that. So long, Evo. And with that, we are moving on to the round table. We talk about the 3 biggest items that drew our interest. Corey, what caught your interest here?
Yeah, so NBA 2K21 for the Xbox Series X and the PS5 have just announced last week or so that the price of their games are going to be $69.99, which is a $10 bump from this generation and last generation. So it kind of sounds like every game moving forward is going to be about $70, which is a little bit inevitable. You know, the price has kind of stayed $60 for like 15 years or so. So it was bound to happen, you know, because game development gets more expensive. But the thing is, I don't think NBA 2K21 was the right franchise to come out and be like, hey, we need to charge more, because NBA 2K21 is they're a bad company with their microtransactions. They charge for every little thing in there, and it's like, no, someone else should have did this announcement. You know, not you guys. No one's going to respect you increasing your prices. You should be lowering it. So I don't know. It's what's got to happen. But NBA 2K21 was not the right company to like make that, you know, announcement. What are your guys' thoughts on that? The $70 price tag.
I think it's all right because, like you said, it's been a while since the price of a game has been increased. And with, you know, like you said, all the technological advances, it's inevitable. But I also agree with the whole NBA announcing it. Like, why would you not put a top-rated, excited game out for it? You know, like the Halo Infinite. Why not do it with that? Why not do it with a game that everyone's going to be excited for no matter what? You put a $70 price tag on the NBA game, I just won't get it at that point. So I'm cool with it. Jeremy?
Here's a little bit of a secret I'm going to put you guys up on. All right. NBA 2K21 is the perfect game to mark for $70. And,
always the oddball.
And the reason why is very simple. Okay. And this is a generalization, and I understand that. So be it. Sports video gamers are the dumbest class of gamer around.
Oh no.
Okay? So what's going to happen is gotta have my NBA 2K. How am I going to be Kevin Durant? How am I going to play in the turn? How am I going to do my park? Right? So you get these lemmings that are going to buy this game anyway because they're sports gamers. So they only really play these games just like this, and they may play
Madden.
1 or 2 other different games a year, right?
Madden, Call of Duty.
Madden would be exactly. Those are the 3 perfect games to start out. And and it's even more perfect because NBA 2K21 is going to be able to charge $70 and keep all those bleeping microtransactions.
Yeah, 100%.
So when they get done doing this, and they showed that the formula works because all the lemmings bought the game because they're just going to buy it anyway. What other NBA game are they going to buy? Especially, right? Live is off another year. They're going to say, hey, guys, look, all companies, we can charge them $70 and keep charging them microtransactions. And they're going to say, really? You know, everyone's going to go, and then they're going to also do it. This is the perfect game to charge $70 on it as a starting point.
Hey, man, you're right. But the thing is, like, as gamers, it's terrible because NBA is a yearly franchise. Like, this game is obsolete in 1 year. This isn't a multiplayer game. Not Call of Duty because they're obsolete after a year or 2. But, you know, it's not like an Overwatch where, hey, you pay $70 and you get 5 years of gameplay out of this thing. This thing is useless after a year. So screw them. You know, it was going to happen. You know, it was going to happen. But, man, screw them. Screw Madden and and Call of Duty.
I'm completely with you, man. It eventually going to $7. It was inevitable. It's not that big of a thing. You know, it's keeping in line with inflation. It's keeping in line like inflation. Like I wish wages would keep in line with inflation. That's another discussion. But it's the perfect game, man. All these dumb sports gamers are going to buy these sports games year after year. I mean, think how dumb you got to be in the first place to buy the same game year after year after year, right? This one though is going to be the first NBA 2K on the next generation.
No, you're absolutely right, man. As soon as I bought Madden for the 20th year, I was done. It was ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? 20 years was enough.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I just want to clarify, Jeremy does play the sports games. Just kind of calling himself out a little bit.
See, I do somewhat, but I don't play them religiously, right?
You are right. You are right.
So, and like NBA 2K, I don't really play that at all, because the microtransactions are terrible. They're just so predatory.
And here's the thing about 2K. It's actually the PS Plus game of the month, or free game of this month. So, and they always go on huge sales. Like NBA 2K19 last year went on a sale for $3.
2K20 did too.
Okay, yeah. They don't even value their game. They don't. Yeah. You know, you don't see big franchises go on sale 6 to 8 months like that after a game's out. They don't value their own product. I mean, they're putting it out there at a huge price to get as many as those first day buyers, like you said, those stupid sports gamers. I love sports gamers, by the way. They're not stupid. They're perfectly fine people. So I'm included in that, you know? And then they put the price really low to get the rest of the people, like, you know, that don't want to buy it at that price. And they put it out for free so they can still profit off the micro transaction. It's a game plan by them, but it's really, really scummy.
Yeah. If you're wondering, if you wonder why, like for Madden, for instance, if you wonder why in August when it comes out, it's $60 and then in November it's $30. If you're wondering why that happens, it's because, okay, all the people, all the dumb sports gamers that were going to buy this anyway already bought it, and we aren't getting enough stuff. But here's the thing: we make $1.5 billion a year off of microtransactions and MUT. So let's just lower it by 50%. You buy the game, and then instead of spending, you know, maybe being more cautious to spend the $30 you would have spent on a $60 release, you're spending $45, $50 in MUT transactions. So we got you for another $10, $15. It's the same thing, yeah. So, but it's the perfect game. It's the perfect move. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some secret cabal in the gaming community of which got together and said, which game can we enact Order 666 on? And they were like, oh, easily Madden 2K 2021. This is the
Madden 2K21.
I'm sorry, NBA.
Now you just combine the games.
They're pretty much the
when
same.
that happens.
They're pretty much
that's the apocalypse when that happens.
Yeah. Oh, let's put it in NBA 2K.
I mean, I stand by my statement, but you sold me on your statement. I can definitely agree with that.
And we love sports gamers. Please keep listening.
We do, man. We feel sorry. We feel sorry for you. You know?
I mean, 2/3 of us just hated on ourselves, so it's all right. It's okay.
Oh man,
I haven't played a sports game since NHL '95. So,
I mean, back in the day, we're talking about good sports games.
That's right.
Yeah. Where you could beat up each other and it'd be blood on the ice or something like that. I mean, good stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So, David, what news item has your interest?
The report of a new Harry Potter RPG game. There was a leaked reveal of some gameplay, and I think Harry Potter coming out with a game is really gonna be a game for new people to come in and try, because Harry Potter has such a huge following. I can see people getting systems just to try and play it and enjoying it. And from what I can tell from the leaked footage, the graphics look pretty good. I don't know if any of you guys played like the ones on like PlayStation or something, but they were bad. Like even when they came out, they were bad. And you can like, from what I can tell, you can make your own character, but just to be in that world is going to be great. Cast your own spells, fight your own battles. You don't have to be like, oh, Harry Potter, because, you know, even though people love the series, not everyone loves Harry Potter. So I'm excited. I'm definitely gonna look into it. Hope see when it comes out, stuff like that. What about you guys?
Yeah, I'm pumped for it. I'm a big Harry Potter fan. I haven't purchased any of those games because they're all trash, I think, according to reviews back in the day. So this looks like the first Harry Potter that is like not associated with a certain movie, and I think it's going to be really good. They have a huge world to explore, a lot of lore, a lot of different locations. I don't think it's exactly what I wanted. I wanted you to have 7 games in a series where each game is a year that takes place at Hogwarts, and you can explore the castle and learn new spells. But this game sounds pretty good, so I'll definitely be interested in it when it's finally shown off at Microsoft's first party conference, July 23rd, because they own them.
We can hope.
Yeah. Jeremy.
I got no interest in this thing. I got no interest in it.
It's fair. It's fair.
But hopefully Harry Potter fans get a game. They get a good game, because what they gave them before was just cheap cash grabs off a movie license. So hopefully this one is a genuine good RPG with a lot of thought that goes into it, a lot of respect given to the IP and the world. Yeah.
Thank you for those kind words.
Oh, yeah. So I guess that leaves me with the news item I have interest in. And it's great because it's funny. It's just really funny.
I can't believe it happened.
And my news item is that Amazon unreleased their game Crucible and took it back to closed beta. Now, some people might be wondering, I've never heard of Crucible. Most people haven't. Okay? That's part of the reason why it's going back to closed beta. But Crucible is basically, it's a game that was developed by Relentless Studios underneath games or Amazon Game Studios. And it's basically a hero shooter / battle royale / MOBA. That's what they're going for. So they have different characters. Each character, I believe, is referred to as a hunter. They had up to 3 game modes called Harvester Command, Alpha Hunters, and Heart of the Hive. And apparently Heart of the Hive is, I think that one's like, what is it? It's like 2 teams of 4 people. They race and they capture these harvesters and they fight NPCs. So that's kind of like the MOBA one. That's the one that's apparently the most popular game mode. So what they're going to do is get rid of the other 2 game modes and focus on that one the most.
Okay.
They released it this year in May. So, not that old. And now, I think it was July or maybe June, they took it back into closed beta because it flopped so hard. I believe at one point this past month or 2 months, its peak players on Steam was like 90 players. This is a game that allegedly cost hundreds of millions of dollars to develop.
Yeah, I didn't even know Amazon had a gaming part.
They do. They started their gaming studio like 7 or 8 years ago. And they've mostly been building games for their app store.
Okay.
But then they said, oh, we want to get into AAA gaming. So they hired a bunch of, people that used to work at EA and Activision. And those are 2 companies right there. That probably explains a lot. And a bunch of other places. And they got this thing going. But I think, once again, much like Google Stadia, I think it's funny when companies with big old heavy pocketbooks, deep pocketbooks, run up and say, oh, game development, we can do that. We have money. And they just fork over millions and millions of dollars just so they can crash and burn because they just don't want to put the work in. It's funny, man. It's funny. I mean, at least I always find these funny. I get 2 of these because I read about this. I still haven't read about Quibi yet, which is crashing and burning. So I can't wait to read about that. But
right.
Yeah, this is, it's hilarious. It's hilarious. So they have it back in closed beta. They're going to work on it some more. After they did a 1.0 version release, They're going to bring it back into closed beta, or they have brought it back into closed beta, so they can work on some stuff because apparently it had bad optimization. The gameplay loop was boring. By the way, that's not a good game. If
Right,
your gameplay
can you change that kind of stuff? Like the gameplay is kind of like set in stone, right?
Right.
Like what
Right.
can you do about that? It's just you made a bad game.
Can you change the thing it actually is? I'm not sure they're going to try.
Right.
Good luck to them.
Do you see this giving like helping Crucible at all when it finally re-releases in the coming what? Do they have a timetable? Months? A year?
No, I don't. And the
As long as it takes.
the reason I don't see it is because Amazon figured they would swing for the fences. So they have this, and then they also have another game called New World coming out that was supposed to also release in May, but because of the pandemic, it got pushed to August.
Okay.
But that's like a massively online multiplayer game.
Oh God.
I'm expecting that to crash. So if that crashes and burns
That's gonna
too,
flop.
right, they're gonna burn through. They're gonna say this is a lost investment. We're just gonna not put any more money into this.
Yep.
Because that's what big companies do.
That's what big companies do.
Wow.
Yep. It's so great though.
You love to
So-
watch things burn, huh?
I mean, yeah, big companies with a lot of money. Big companies with a lot of money. It's like, hey, if you guys want to waste money or spend money and not get a huge return, buy our podcast. We'll sell out with the quickness. You'll get absolutely nothing in return to putting your money into this, and it will still be a better investment than what you just did. Because I don't think we're actually disappointing people.
You're damn right.
So with that done, let's get into the what you're playing. So let's see who wants to start here. David, what have you been playing?
You'll never guess, but Dead by Daylight, having a great time there. And, of course, some Overwatch. But I have a new one this week. Is
Really?
Mo Astray. And I beat that game. And I'm going to talk about that more in the next segment. But it was a lot of fun. What about you, Cor?
Okay, me. I've been, as you know, the last level, I had been playing a lot of Last of Us 2. That game is ultra depressing. So I had to kind of switch it up a little bit. I went with Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair. Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair is a sequel to the game Yooka-Laylee, which was made by the team that made Banjo-Kazooie back in the day. They made Yooka-Laylee, which is this big 3D platformer, and it got so-so reviews. So they made a sequel where now it's a 2D platformer, kind of like the Donkey Kong Country games. And it's a lot of fun. It's pretty challenging, but not too hard. But I think it has a really cool setup. When you start the game, you can go immediately into the final level. You can beat the game on the first level if you want. That's the Impossible Lair. Now, it's hard as nails. So what you do is you play all these other levels around it, and it allows you to get an extra hit once you join that Impossible Lair. So there's something like 40 levels in the game. So if you beat all those, you're allowed to take 40 hits in this Impossible Lair. Or you can just try it with no hits. And I've done that a few times. I got to 13% into the lair before I died, but I think it's a really, really cool concept. And it's a fun game. It's got a lot of it's a pretty basic platformer, but a pretty good one. I've also been playing a lot of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate again. I love that game. Min Min just came out. I wasn't really excited about her, but I downloaded her, played. She's a lot of fun. Smash Bros. Does a great job of making these kind of unique DLC characters where I think you get your money's worth. She plays like she would in ARMS. I just love Smash Bros. I can't talk enough about that game. To me, it's got the best collection of different franchises in video game history altogether. It's got, without a doubt, the best collection of video game music in it. The stages are all throwbacks to just different parts of the games. The character roster's up to 81 right now.
Holy Jesus!
Yeah, 81 with 5 more guaranteed DLC characters. So I love that game. I can never beat my brother. He's Richter Belmont. So screw him. On to you, Jeremy.
Wow. That took a turn at the end.
Yeah, I'm bitter.
So games I've been playing more of the Outer Worlds, slowly but surely getting my way through that game. Enjoying it. Again, enjoying the worlds, enjoying The storylines, the quests are really interesting. Just like I wish Obsidian would have just made all the Fallout games. But we have the Outer Worlds, and it's great. And another game that I've played very little, but I am super excited to dive into. I finally bought it when it was on Steam sale. Is RimWorld. I am so geeked to play this bleeping game because I've watched a bunch of Let's Plays of it. I mean, and guys, like, you don't understand. People, you have to be quite nerdy to watch Let's Plays of RimWorld because it is a colony space simulator, but it's, very basic kind of graphics, but the stories, the different events, the way you build up your colony, the way that the personality from your colonizers or colonists, the way it happens so organically, how everything's kind of frenzied. It's just, it's a great game. So I can't wait to dive and put hours and hours into this bad boy. Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. But I'm probably going to more so focus on trying to beat the Outer Worlds because I'm pretty into it. It's a good game.
How far along are you in that? Like hours wise?
Outer Worlds, I'm probably like 6 hours into it, 6 or 7 hours into it. I believe that the campaign, I've heard that it's maybe like 25 hours total.
Okay.
I don't know, but I've been taking my time with it, so I'll probably end up being slower.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I've been enjoying it. So, guys, that brings us to the end of What You Playing. What we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, and we will be back with a very, very special Was It Worth It?
Hey there, players. We are excited to say that Thoughts and Players is moving to one podcast episode a week with the addition of bonus levels. Every other week, Corey, David, or myself will discuss a single gaming topic that intrigues us. It could be something current or something totally out of left field. Some levels may have all three of us, two of us, one of us and a special guest, or we may ride solo. Either way, we hope you'll listen and contribute to the conversation. Thanks for tuning in, and now, back to the show.
And we are back. Now, I said before the break that we have a very, very special edition of Was It Worth It? It is our indie edition. So, the fellas, we were sitting around and we're thinking, these Was It Worth It's about these big games. And we really enjoy talking about the little games we play. Maybe we should show them some more love. So we're like, hey, well, you know what? How about we each talk about an indie game that we've played and whether we would recommend it or not. That way the indies get a bit more love and we get to talk about a bit more games. So instead of just having to talk about one game, we're talking about 3 different games. So to lead this off, I will go with David because he mentioned that the game he will talk about here, he mentioned earlier. So David, what was that game?
That game would be Mo Astray. It was recommended to try from one of our listeners, Eric. And I decided to take it up and see what it was all about. So the game type that it is, it's a side-scroller puzzle game. And there's some boss fights, which I took on as bosses, but quickly realized that's not how I have to go about it. It's also kind of like a puzzle. So that's how I got by with them. The playthrough, it was good. There was no complaints, besides getting stuck at some parts and wondering what the heck to do. So because the game took me 9 hours to beat. Eric said that it's about 8 hours, so I was a little on the slower end of things. But the story was good. How it ended, it makes me feel like I want to play another one, figure out what's going on, because a lot of things weren't answered. But there was no glitching problems, no other mechanical kind of issues, which is good because even these big AAA games have issues with glitching in the walls and stuff like that. So to not have any issues was amazing. And the music, I really liked the music. I feel like I can just listen to it. And it really connected in the game with what was like going on, especially at the end of the game. Like I really felt the music with what I was feeling and doing and how the story was at the end of the game. And the graphics, it's an indie game, very indie-like, but they were well done. It wasn't poorly made looking. For an indie game, that's rude of me to say that. For a game, it was $15 when I bought it. I don't even play these kind of games. It was good. It was worth the $15, and especially if you like these games, great. Like, and I played on easy mode, and the bosses were extremely hard. So I don't even want to know how hard is. So if you're into these games and you want a challenge, that's what you want. Just buy it, play hard. End of story. Recommend. Worth it, definitely.
Nice.
Core.
Nice.
I got a question real quick. You said the story was very interesting and you kind of want to see what happens. Now, how do they kind of tell this story? Is it through like text boxes? Is it like more environmental storytelling?
There was animation, it was all text box. There was one voice actor. It was for there was like a narrator throughout it. It was the person just telling you to go here, go there, whatever. And I don't want to mess up any of the story.
Yeah.
But yeah. Text box.
All right, cool, man. Cool.
All right, Corey.
I guess
What
I'll
you got?
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I have a game that I played, probably a few years ago now, but What Remains of Edith Finch? What Remains of Edith Finch is a first-person perspective game. It's definitely a walking simulator, so it's more about the storytelling than the actual gameplay. But pretty much your character is going back home. It's a giant house, like a mansion, where there's like hidden passages and stuff like that, kind of like a Addams Family sort of house. Things aren't where they're supposed to be or stuff like that. But you're going there because I believe your mother had passed away. And this family has a curse on them where every one of the family members dies much earlier than, from old age. So you're going in this house and you're going room to room and you're kind of reliving these people's memories about how they, like, right before they died. And that's kind of where the gameplay takes place. There's maybe like a swimming section where this person drowned. There's a part where you're swinging on a swing and you jump off it. I don't want to spoil anything in the game, but it's it's a depressing story because pretty much all you're going through is every one of these family members' deaths. And, some of them have mental illnesses. Some of them were murdered. Some of them it was accidental. It was a really rough game to play in terms of the storytelling. But it was also a very, very beautiful game. So I'm kind of torn. It was about a 4-hour experience. At the time, it was $20, but that was a couple years ago. I'm sure you could find it for much cheaper. But, man, it told a really, really nice story. Super depressing. If you're looking for that kind of experience, I think you would greatly enjoy it. Was it worth it? I would say no. The gameplay was a little bit non-existent. It's a walking simulator, So if you're looking for a 4-hour movie, yeah, it might hit you. But as a game, was it worth it for $20 at the time for 4 hours? I don't think so. But let me just say this. It was the most beautiful, no, it was not worth it game I've ever played.
So let me throw this curveball to you. I believe that What Remains of Edith Finch is currently on Xbox Game Pass for PC, which is about $5 a month.
Right.
So if someone has a Game Pass and it's there, would you say, hey, this may be worth checking out if you want an interesting, different type of story game going on? Or
do you want to be depressed is what it is. But sometimes that's a feeling some people want to feel, right? Like, is that a thing? People want to feel depressed? I feel like I'm talking like an idiot. Well, you'll feel depressed playing this game. but it's like a beautifully told story. I don't know how to explain it. Like, you don't feel good. Like, even worse than The Last of Us 2. I know I said that about The Last of Us 2, but this one you really kind of feel like, oh, this sucks. You know, you can't change what happens in the game. You know, you're going through this story. Like I said, it's a walking simulator, and you're just reliving these people's memories. And like I had told you, it's a story about this family's kind of curse. So none of these end well. None of them. You know, so you're playing it, and it's just, and some of the things are kind of cool. Like one of them, the sister, hers is more like a comic book story based around Halloween. So it has a cel-shaded art, which is really, really cool, you know? And they throw you in these different situations where the gameplay is slightly different or the art style is slightly different. And it's cool, but man, you're gonna feel bad afterwards, man. I mean, you can download it for sure. You know, Game Pass, sure, try it out. But was it worth it? It's not kind of what I wanted at the time, you know? But that's up for you to decide. I don't think it was worth it for me personally. 4 hours, $20 at the time, made me feel depressed afterwards. But a beautiful game, nonetheless.
Okay. So the Was It Worth It for me is a indie game called Software Inc. And it is basically a business tycoon game where you start as the founder of a company and you can work contracts for companies to develop software. And eventually you start to hire your own employees at your company and you can develop your own software. You can develop office software. You can develop operating systems. You can develop games or game engines, and you can develop these things to sell on the market. You can develop them. Let's say, for instance, you want to be able to you want to be a game developer. So maybe you can pull a CD Projekt Red. Your team sits down, you develop your own game engine, and then you create and sell games with your own game engine, but you keep your game engine in-house, so you don't have to sell it. You can control everything in regards to how the money works. So you can control how much you pay people. You can control if you want to put money that your company makes in a savings account, so that way it gains interest. You can determine whether you provide employees certain benefits like life insurance or per diems and how much you want those to be. You can dictate how long they can take vacations, when they can take vacations. You can also dictate, you can do things like buy stocks. Your company makes enough money that you want to buy all the stocks of your company, so that way you're wholly owned 100%. You can do that. If you want to invest in other companies, even your competitors, you can do that. If you want to buy them out completely and make them subsidiaries of your company, you can do that completely. You can build your own office. You can build it 13 stories high. You can buy blocks of real estate, convert them into other offices or parking lots. You can literally create your own digital platform if you want. So you can buy a bunch of computer servers and say, hey, I want to be able to sell products on my digital server. So companies have to pay me to use my server. You can do all this stuff in this game. And it's great. I've lost hundreds of hours to it. I've not hit my own goal. There's no real end game to it. It's kind of whatever yours is. So my end game has been, okay, I want to play a game where I reach $1 billion. Now I've not reached that yet, but yeah, it's just insane. If you're really into tycoon stuff, business tycoon stuff, this game gives you so many things to control, so much stuff to do. It gets if now here's the thing, that's the basic game loop, is the business tycoon stuff. If that's not your thing, you're gonna get bored with it really quickly. But if you're into that stuff, you will have tons of fun with it. And it's constantly being updated and improved, and it's being developed, I believe, by one guy, and I think he has one person doing artwork for it. So that's pretty much it.
I got a couple questions for you, Jeremy.
Yeah.
I know you said there wasn't really an end game, but the one I kind of played like that, Game Dev Story, didn't have an end game either. But once you got to a certain point, you were just repeating the same things over and over, and it didn't feel enticing to keep playing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Does this game kind of like keep you where it's like always throwing something at you? Where like, okay, I got to figure out this issue, or there's always kind of room to grow. Is that something that this game has?
It has that by virtue of the developer continually tweaking and adding stuff to the game.
Okay.
So there's new variables that have to be considered for success. So
Variables is a good point. Okay.
yeah, that's kind of where the replay value comes in at. So I mean, it's a game where I haven't played the game in probably a couple of months, but the developers basically changed so much crap in it, it's basically a new game. So when I jump in there, I'm gonna have to relearn some stuff and learn new stuff. And that's
All right,
cool.
one more question for you.
Yeah.
Sure.
What
Have to add
what
that.
kind of game developer are you, Jeremy?
What kind of game developer am I? So I mostly don't develop games. And the reason why is different softwares have different price points for their market. So what I usually try to do is I usually try to create a cheap software, like a 2D software, make my money there, and then where you get all the money is in operating systems. So I try to develop operating systems. So I try to become Microsoft, essentially.
Microsoft. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
With a little bit of Epic thrown in there with your game development
Exactly.
kits and stuff.
Exactly.
All right, man. Fair enough. That's funny. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Does it have a phone app? Do you know? Because I am very enticed by this game right now. Like I will buy it today.
It does not have a phone version, I believe. I have it on Steam.
Okay.
When I bought it, which determined if it was worth it, it was worth it for me. It was like $14. And it's in early access. That's why it's constantly getting updated and having a bunch of new stuff added to it. But like I said, I've put hundreds of hours into it, so it was clearly worth it for me.
Right.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. It is fun. So, guys, we've presented you 3 indies. 2 of them we deemed were worth it. Corey's like, this isn't really worth it unless you like being sad and want to see.
It was so close, man.
Want to see the beauty in the sadness.
Right.
And also, like I said, it's like 4 hours, so it's
4
not
hours.
too huge of a time investment.
Right.
If you're interested in that type of stuff. All right. So we're going to move on to the next segment of Could You Please? Now, fortunately, you guys have been giving us recommendations on your Could You Pleases, so we can really engage in some conversation here, get some different perspectives going on. So, of course, we're going to offer you our Could You Pleases, but we're also going to offer some of our fellow players Could You Please? So, let's see here. Who wants to go first with their Could You Please?
I'll go. Mine's pretty
Okay.
simple. Could you please, Sony, let me bring my entire PS4 library to the PS5? I don't think it's too much to ask for. These consoles are trying to become more and more like PCs every generation. You know, we had the mid-generation upgrade with the PS4 Pro. PS5 is probably going to be even more like a PC. I want it to be like Steam, where if I buy a game on your platform, I can bring it to any future platform and be able to play it. Now, will I play a lot of these games? Absolutely not. But I don't want to have to keep my PS4 hooked up to a TV. I just want to be able to have that stuff to download later if I want it. And I don't think that's too much to ask for. So could you please, Sony, make that happen?
That seems reasonable.
Thank you. Is it going to happen, though? I doubt it.
Same.
David, what's your Could You Please?
I would say, could you please put Resident Evil in Dead by Daylight? With the whole Silent Hill that just got put in, and just to have something from a series that I've spent my entire life playing, it would be great just to play as Leon or Claire or Jill as one of the survivors or something, and then just walk around as like Nemesis or Mr. X as a killer. I would play it for even more hours of the day than I already do. Jeremy?
You know, my Could You Please, I don't think my Could You Please is that difficult. Or maybe it is difficult and I'm just making light of it because I want it done. Okay. Let's see. I have exactly a good. Okay. Microsoft, Could you please make NCAA football 14 backwards compatible? I mean, enough already. We get it. There were lawsuits and stuff, right? But that was lawsuits pertaining to future games. This game has been out for 6, 7, 8 years. I can play it on my 360. Just up it up a bit. You know, I don't understand why I have to keep going back to the old 360 to play this game. I mean, I should be able to just play it. It's the last college football game we have. So, I mean, just do it already. Contact EA, get the license thing happen, wherever you got to do. If there's money in it for everyone, that's all you guys want. Just make it happen. I mean, that's my could you please.
Well, funny you should mention that because on our Facebook comments, we have a could you please from Cody. His could you please is, could you please bring back NCAA basketball? So we have a couple college sports fans here, huh?
Here. I'm telling you what, man. College Hoops 2K8, one of the greatest basketball games ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that the game has a ridiculous amount of the time of your players blowing open layups. But besides that, it's one of the greatest. The atmosphere, the coaching paradigm and career and all that stuff was great. I'm totally with it. NCAA basketball games, NCAA March Madness, all that stuff. Got to bring it back.
Bring them back.
Bring them back. So let's see here. I have a could you please from Stephanie. It says, could you please add more demos? I just purchased a game that was very disappointing, sloppy and not fun at all. It seemed like more work than play. Let me tell you something, Stephanie. You and I could not be in more lockstep on this idea. We are in 2020 and a half, right? It is... We have all this with the Xbox network and Nintendo's got their thing going and PSN and Steam and all these demos should be more easily accessible than they ever have been before. It makes no sense that we can't demo almost every game that comes out because it's right there. You can easily download a slice of it and people can make more educated purchasing decisions. I mean, I tell you what, I never would have purchased Anthem 6 months after it came out if I would have demoed the current state of it and knew that it still sucked, right? So
right.
I totally agree. You don't have to blow your money, and then you're not upset with the purchase. And even if you're in a scenario where you can actually return it, you still have to, okay, am I over the hour thing? Did I really explore enough of the game to get an idea with the hour mark? Can I return it? Will they actually accept it? Or will they give me some, BS excuse for not giving me my money back or something like that? Demos gets rid of all that stuff. I played a demo of Desperados 3, and that has me really interested in actually playing or in buying the game because I enjoyed the heck out of it. So demos work. Demos sell games.
Oh, I agree 100%. I wish I had a demo when I bought Return to Tarkov because I hated it. Tried to get a refund, was denied. So $50 down the drain.
Oof.
I would have known 20 minutes into playing the game that I didn't want it,
Right.
So it just sucks. Steam does that good thing, like you said, where you have a couple hours to play it. I think that's a step in the right direction. I believe Xbox has it as well, but PlayStation and Nintendo really got to add something like that because a lot of people don't buy a ton of games, throughout the year. They buy somewhere between 2 to 5. So those are important games to buy. And if you blow one of them, it feels really bad. So more demos, please.
Go ahead.
Okay, I was just saying, I was probably going to buy them anyways, but like the Resident Evil games that came out recently, they had demos. And I played them. I loved it. So I was set and sure that I was spending my money wisely. And to have that for every game, I don't see why that's not already a thing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, like a slice of the game, 20 minutes, half hour. I did the same thing with Resident Evil 2. I loved the demo, so I purchased the game.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like to support something like that, GOG, their return policy is much more consumer friendly. So support those guys if you want that, But let's see here.
I have one from Lindsay. It says, could you please do an action adventure game that is not a side scroller relatable to Sphinx or the Cursed Mummy Croc? She's sick of all the shooting games and side scrollers, and she also considers Last of Us a shooting adventure game. I could see that. Like, why not, have a diverse set of games in the same category?
Yeah, I agree. And side scrollers, like there was some frustration I had with the Assassin's Creed franchise, but when they had those Assassin's Creed stories, those were kind of more side scrolly. I think they had Assassin's Creed China and Assassin's Creed, I forgot what the other one was, but it was a couple of them where I'm like, okay, this is cool. And I think having stuff like that, stuff like what was it, Shovel Knight, certain games that are more action adventure, side scroll, stuff like that, I'm all for it. I think you need.
Yeah, I think more like more mascot platformers is what I don't think everyone wants, but a certain type of people want. And I think we've really been missing that this last generation, especially. So I wouldn't mind a return. Throw a cute character in a game, let them jump around. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's why one of the biggest things I'm looking forward to is Sackboy's Adventure for PS5.
Yeah, it actually looks fun.
Yeah, definitely.
So, like, Sly Cooper, would that be like a game that she kind of wants? Because it's not a shooting game. It's, it's action adventure. It's not side scroller.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like that, a 3D, platformer. I know it's more based on stealth, but something like that. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It's just a fun type of game. It's not all blood and guts. I mean, if I had to guess what she was thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, because that was a good game.
Oh yeah, definitely. So we have, in addition to that, we also, we're deep in the gaming community here. So we actually got some replies from some folks over at GameFAQs. They had some pretty good "could you pleases," so we wanna shout those out and get those going too. So I'll go first on this one. I've been putting you guys. So I'll go first on this one. So mine is from username Tony Jaa. Now, I don't know if this is the actual Tony Jaa. If it is, I love all your movies. Okay. But they write, could you please make Sleeping Dogs 2, Eternal Darkness 2, Shadow Hearts 4, and Wild Arms 6? Now, Tony Jaa, again, big fan. I'm not too familiar with Wild Arms 6, but there is one on this list in particular that I will agree with you with wholeheartedly. Sleeping Dogs is one of my favorite games of all time. Okay. I know people, it's basically GTA-ish, but I believe in Hong Kong, and there's a lot of martial arts involved. And you play an undercover detective that is in I believe it's Red Pole sect of the Chinese triads. And you're trying to, basically find these people, arrest these criminals and everything like that. The story was great. The voice acting was spectacular. The main character, he's not an anti-hero, but he has some dark complexity that really makes him interesting. And then obviously just the scenery, the look, the culture was fantastic. I love the fact that I think halfway through the game you have to do kung fu. You don't get access to guns till like halfway through the game. That's cool. So I mean, absolutely, we need another Sleeping Dogs. The fact that it hasn't happened yet kind of boggles my mind, because Sleeping Dogs originally came out last gen. I know they did a port over for the Xbox One and PlayStation 4. By the way, so let me tell you about me and Sleeping Dogs. So I beat Sleeping Dogs on Xbox 360. I beat it on PlayStation 4, and I beat it on Xbox One.
This guy's a madman.
So I absolutely love that game, adore that game. We definitely need another one of those. Eternal Darkness as well. We need another Eternal Darkness.
Yes.
That needs to happen. Tony Jaa, great contributions, great movies, big fan of your work. I appreciate you writing into us.
Yeah, that Wild Arms 6, I had the original on PlayStation. It's pretty much Final Fantasy, but it's its own world. So I could see that being
kind of like Western.
It's I
Like
don't
Wild
remember.
West? Okay, I'm not going to talk like an idiot. I have no clue. So
That's fine. But I mean, Final Fantasy is huge right now. I think a Wild Arms 6 would be good. I don't play those kind of games, and I don't know if Final Fantasy is working because it's Final Fantasy, but I could see it being a thing.
Yeah.
all right, cool. I'll go next. So from GameFAQs, I just want to say we had a ton of comments on GameFAQs. We only picked 3, so keep doing your replies. We really appreciated it. But mine is from John Bod High, and he says, "Could you please allow me to enlarge the text so I can actually read it? You may think your primary audience is teenagers, but I have more disposable income." So John's a little rich. He wants bigger text in gaming, which even for me, who's not that old and definitely not rich, I agree 100%. Some of these text boxes in games, Witcher 3 kind of jumps to mind. There's a ton of them, though. They are so hard to read. So bigger text and bigger text options would just be amazing.
I concur with that wholeheartedly. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Like
needs
even
to
Moa Stray, it was kind of small. Like if it was like 2 font sizes bigger.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Right.
For mine, from GameFAQs, I picked Dark Symbiotes, and his is, could you please release complete games on day 1? And I could not agree more.
Amen. Dark Symbiote.
Dark Symbiote, I agree with you. You are asking for us to return to a day that has long been put out to pasture. I wish not, but it seems like every game company is content on releasing a half to 3/4 of a game and then making you download 20, 30, 40, 50 gigabytes day one in order to play.
Right.
Because, of course, we don't have to pay any data stuff on our plans.
Because like I was thinking about it, like if they released a Twisted Metal, this year, back then it was the game. You had all these cars, you fought, whatever. But now you get this quote unquote full game, and then probably 3 months later, oh, there's this new character you can download and pay $10 for. Like, why can't you just give us that day one and just let us have our game?
Well, here's the thing, guys.
It's so annoying.
They're raising the price to $69.99 because now they're going to start giving us complete games without any of that.
Right.
I hope so. I hope that's one of the reasons.
Right.
Please.
That's exactly.
That should have been my cookie.
It's 100% what's going to happen.
Exactly what's going to happen. We give them $10 more, and I'm sure most of that money will definitely go to the developers that spend 80 hours a week working there. I'm sure
of
it
course.
will. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, where else would it go?
All right. So once again, guys at GameFAQs, we appreciate it. Please keep sending those replies. We will keep reading them. You guys thought of some stuff we didn't think of. I never would have thought of Sleeping Dogs 2, but I'm so glad, Tony Jaa, that you took a break from filming those great martial art movies to suggest this. So with that out the way, we're on to a new segment. You guys know we are always changing up, bringing up new stuff. And this new segment, I'm going to let Corey introduce this new segment because this is his brainchild. So, Corey, what is it?
Hello and welcome back to America's favorite game show, What's the Meta? With me today, I have, yes, thank you. I'm your host, Corey. With me today, I have David. Say hello, David.
What up?
And Jeremy. Jeremy, say hello.
I am immediately regretting this.
Okay, let's. All right, so What's the Meta is a game show where I read user reviews on Metacritic about America's favorite games, and you two have to try to guess what game it is based on purely a user review. So I have 5 games for you today. The winner gets to start us off on final thoughts. So there's a big prize involved here. So let's go right into it. First up, we have Donnie Plays, who gave this game a 3 out of 10. While I can appreciate the general overall idea of what this game does, I'm just not on board with how it's executed. The game is very repetitive. It's one of the most noticeable things about this game. You can chime in whenever you want. Going on, Derek 4999 gave this game a 0 out of 10. Horrible community, horrible gameplay, horrible maps, horrible balancing. Game is broken to bleep. Just fix stuff. No one cares about the stuff that is pointless while ignoring important things. They just spam DLCs and don't care about the game at this point.
Is this
I was gonna say Overwatch until you said DLC.
right? Maps. Okay, so we got maps, we got DLC, we have repetitive gameplay.
At this point, it could be 99% of games.
Right.
Is it Call of Duty?
I will go on.
Okay.
Mournfulness also gave this game a 0 out of 10. The idea is very good, but the game is very, very buggy and unbalanced. Blank has too much bonus, and blank never wins. Don't waste your money now. Wait at least 1 year from now.
Is this that whatchamacallit Heights game? That Cliff Blitz dude, I forgot his name. That made that like right before his company went out of business.
Ain't no one know what that game is called, all right?
Okay.
I would not pick that type of game. All right, here we go. Last one. If you guys don't get this, I'm going to be very disappointed, all right? I know those first three. This one you're going to get. Croheem gave this game a 4 out of 10. A unique 1 versus 4 PvP experience.
You did not do Dead by Daylight.
Which showed promise during its first half after release, but has to deal with balancing issues. Tip towards the blank side.
Yep.
Due to the developers not adjusting the game rules to the added content that breaks the currently aimed time per match of 9 to 12 minutes.
I got it, dude.
All in all, it's a mixed bag of frustration made by the community's outcry for unnecessary changes and the developers listening to it.
This has to be none other than Evolve.
No.
What?
David, do you have a guess?
Was it Dead by Daylight?
Ding, 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 ding. Dead by Daylight. I hope you don't feel personally attacked.
I feel attacked because I can see all of those statements.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, they weren't wrong.
They weren't.
You know, I mean, people are still complaining about balance issues, and I play both sides. Like, there's a counter or a counter to everything in the game. It just depends if you get that killer or survivor. Like, it's a guessing game.
I also like how every one of those reviews could easily fit in for Evolve, like you were saying, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Like, it makes perfect sense for that game as well. All right, on to game number 2. We have Giano giving this game a 0 out of 10. Terrible game at higher levels. The AI cheat takes any fun out of the game. The developers took the easy way out. Rather than perfect, better strategies, they set up the game to cheat like heck. Like playing chess against an opponent who can change the rules whenever they want.
Okay, this has got to be an RTS. This has got to be an RTS.
I think he's attacking you this time, Jeremy.
Yeah, feels like it. Yeah.
Aaron N. gave this game a 3 out of 10. Good single player, but cannot save multiplayer games. Who has time to play 6 hours in one sitting?
This is Civilization.
It is Civilization Revolution.
Yeah.
I started to think like Halo Wars or something. Yeah.
There was 2 more, but I won't read them. They're kind of long. On to our third game. Revolting Mind gave this game a 1 out of 10. This game is repetitive like F. It's full of glitches and bugs, unoriginal story. Why the hype for this game? It just bad from every aspect except the graphics and the voice act. I'm reading these verbatim, by the way.
Okay, so this one is clearly The Last of Us Part 2.
It is not.
Oh, okay.
Jealous Bureau gave this game a 0 out of 10. I tried, but the gameplay is terrible. I hated it. And for the story, using a young hottie and implying that he never wanted to have sex with her and stuff, I think Freud would strongly disagree with the relationship between these two. Story is just weak and weird and offering no controversy. It could have been so much better if it wasn't written by an old prick, assuming that in real life it would go something like this.
What? Huh.
Let's just say you were close, Jeremy. All right.
I was close.
You were close. World Bite 85 gave this game a 5 out of 10. Couldn't finish the game. I do believe the story to be great, but man, I just hate the gameplay. It's so clunky. Denying. When will it stop, folks?
Is it The Last of Us Part 1?
It's The Last of Us Part 1.
That comment gave it away because that's exactly what Jeremy said.
That is exactly what he said. And it was a game I think you both would have known. So
who are they referring to as a young hottie?
I believe the 14-year-old Ellie.
Come on, dude.
It's gross. It's gross. All right. I don't know.
I hope they were like 15 and wrote that.
Yeah, they could have been.
I'm gonna think positive here.
All right. Maltuvian gave this game a 3 out of 10. A fine little gem of a sandbox marred by apathetic developers, primitive and therefore buggy. Buggy coding and an unreasonable amount of praise for was really just a simplistic open world sandbox. While that might be a rarity nowadays, it doesn't constitute an amazing game or gameplay. It merely allows for a potential huge investment.
Sandbox. So Sandbox. What we have here is Sandbox.
You need this one, Jeremy.
Before I take a guess,
You need this one.
What in the world does Sandbox mean?
David, I don't know where to begin with that. I'm not telling you.
It's like kind of like semi-open world.
It's open world, yeah. All right. Narc Amina gave this game a 0 out of 10. We are really close to the end of the world for this kind of game being appointed as best PC game of the year. If it was appointed for best game for your Windows 95, I would try to accept because it's not a game, it's a tool. I don't see any elements that appoint this as a game. It's more like a 3D map editor with disguised monsters and horrible AI. The graphics isn't the problem. The game is the problem. And such high Metascore for a map editor, well, it's a joke.
It's a Minecraft?
Minecraft, David with the, oh man, look at you. Jeremy, I'm so disappointed.
I hate that game.
I almost said I almost said No Man's Sky.
I think that would have fit a little bit. Yeah, for sure. By the fourth clue, you guys would have got it. It said something about it was like Legos with sandbox, but all right, last game. Bobby Peru V gave this game a 4 out of 10. Like most retro games, the memory is better than the actual game was. In addition to now boring play, the handling and turning feel sluggish. People played this for years.
Streets Rage 4?
No.
Okay.
Slim T gave this game a 4 out of 10 as well. It looks like this game will burn an image onto your big screen TV, and the controls are unresponsive.
I don't even know what that burn on the screen is even supposed to mean.
Jeremy, you look like you have a guess.
I had one and I lost it.
Moving on. Matt C gave this game a 2 out of 10. It looks right, but with just one control, how can you screw that up? The arcade game was not sluggish like this. It looks accurate, and if you were able to play more easily, it would play accurately. But again, how do you not get the controller right? There aren't even buttons in this game.
Did they remake Pong?
No.
Is it? It's not like Pac-Man, is it?
It is Pac-Man. Look at you, Jeremy.
I mean, what are these people's deal?
I will say, when I was thinking of this game, I didn't know the joy I would find in just reading these reviews. It is now one of my pastimes. I just like going to Metacritic and reading these people's reviews. It's hilarious. It's a really, really good time.
These people have got what is their deal?
How can you complain about Pac-Man?
I don't know, man.
Don't know.
But we do have a winner, and that winner was David. Congratulations. You can still bring us to the last segment, Jeremy. Go ahead. This is your show.
Okay. Well, after that game,
and it forces you to concede to David. So do that as well.
I don't know if I'm happy or not.
Okay. That's great. So let's bring us to the final segment of which I get to concede that David gets the first final thought for this level. David, what is your final thought?
My final thought is, what's the meta was ridiculous because all of those comments are just so they're so negative and complain. I'm so mad people complain about Pac-Man. Okay, that's my final thought.
Okay, Corey,
what's the meta is a little bit like playing what remains of Edith Finch. You just feel bad afterwards. That's not my final thought, though.
Right. Well, Corey, what is your final thought?
My final thought is finishing up the segment that is Rock the Nation, my top 25 board games of all time. We have number 5 through 1 today, and I will start at number 5. We have Deception, Murder. What's it called? Murder of Hong Kong.
It's your top 5.
It's my top 5. Murder at Hong Kong. Pretty much, there's one murderer, and there's a bunch of investigators that are trying to figure out who that is. But the murderer is also trying to play a part in pointing people in other directions because you don't know who the murderer is. And everyone gets one guess at what weapon and what clue was left behind because there is one person trying to leave those clues for you. Very, very fun game and awesome with any number of people. I think it goes up to like 12 people, so it can be considered a party game. Awesome game. Number 4, Underwater Cities. This is a worker placement game where you are going on different spots of the board and getting these abilities to do, all the while you're trying to build a underwater city like a Rapture from BioShock. You got to be able to feed your people. You got to have them have supplies. And it's pretty much just whoever has the most points at the end is the winner, but a lot of great decisions in it. Number 3 is a game we've talked about before, Wingspan. Jeremy, you've heard of this game. You asked if it was like Pokemon. After thinking about it, yeah, maybe it's a little bit like Pokemon. You're collecting these bird species and you're bringing them into your habitat, and the bird species all come with a special ability on their card, which helps make that habitat stronger. So as you play throughout the game, all your moves get a little bit stronger. Real fun game. Second up is Western Legends. This is a sandbox game, which means you can pretty much do whatever you want in this game. You can become a sheriff. You can become an outlaw. You can mine for gold. You can play poker. Pretty much whatever you could do in the Old West, you can do in this game. You're just trying to become the best Western legend. And then finally, my number 1 game is Viticulture Essential Edition with the expansion. Viticulture is a game where you're making wine. That itself is not very exciting, but it is so strategic and it has so many options in the game that you can go about 3 or 4 or 5 different routes and still come out on top in this game. And it's always fun to see what other people do. So those are my top 5 board games.
Okay.
Have you guys heard of any of them? Besides Wingspan?
No.
Only the Wingspan. All right. When we do this in person, I will be bringing all my board games. So get ready.
Do you have a car big enough?
Actually, I don't know.
All right. My final thought is recently, I watched the first episode of The Mandalorian. And you know what? Not bad. So I think I'll jump back into Star Wars that way. Almost said Star Trek. But I'll jump back into Star Wars, at least for The Mandalorian.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Star Wars series, but Mandalorian, it was worth the watch.
It was pretty good.
Okay. That's my final thought. That leads us to the end of level 6 of the Thoughts and Players podcast. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to us on your preferred podcast services: Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher. We're on TuneIn Radio. We are on iHeartRadio. Any one of those, dig us out. You can also find us on YouTube. And if you're looking for us on the socials, which you should, because we'll have some pretty interesting stuff clicking up there pretty soon. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/thoughtsandplayers, all one word, or you can find us on the gram at thoughts.players. That is it for us. We will catch you guys on the next level.